Well, guys, you're going to have to excuse the sirens and the bells in the background. Santa is coming through the neighborhood on a fire engine right now. I was going to delay the video report, run out, see if he had any winners for today, but instead I figured I'll bypass Santa, skip the candy cane, instead do the video on time. I've got free selections coming up on a couple of games and my thoughts on a couple of others here as well. Of course, the big news today, Carolina looking to remain undefeated. Quick story for you. Back in 2007, I hadn't done TV in, 15 years, okay? Steve Budin, had the brilliant idea, hey, let's get you doing TV again. I wasn't exactly all gung-ho for it, okay? But the first station we got on was SNY in New York, okay? And, of course, every single week during my segment, I'm handicapping 5 games, giving my free picks. And I had to handicap the Jets and the Giants every single week. Well, the Jets, I owned them that year. The Giants, I just couldn't get my hand on that damn team week to week. Naturally, who goes to the Super Bowl? Giants and the Patriots. I have to get on there. I've got to give my pick. I told everybody from the minute the matchup was announced, the minute the line was posted, love the Giants. They all thought and were joking with me saying that, oh, you're only picking the Giants because you're here, you're in New York, you don't want to be made a fool of. Didn't enter my mind a bit. Because in the Super Bowl, there's never any value in the line. But when you look at a number that's 12, as it was back then for that Super Bowl, it was a joke. Because even though the Patriots were undefeated, it wasn't like I expected them to blow out the Giants. Now, did I think the Giants were going to win the game? Absolutely not. But I thought the Giants plus the points was the way to go. And, of course, we know how that one played out. And that's one of the issues and one of the interesting things when you do a lot of TV and you do a lot of radio, because naturally you always have to give your prediction for the hometown local team. And you can tell everybody in the world your best bet is so-and-so, but the only thing they remember is how you did with the hometown team. Of course, that year, I was a genius in New York. Couldn't win a Giants game all season. Had them in the only game that counted. Nobody remembered what came earlier. Hey, Sundays are winding down here in the regular season. The Panthers looking to remain undefeated. It happens to be my best bet today, the Panthers-Giants game. But the play that you probably want to be most aware of is the Sunday night game. We've had a switch, of course. A switch? It would help if I said that correctly. A switch, of course, because the Patriots game has been time shifted because nobody wants to see them play Tennessee. So instead, your Sunday night game is now going to be the Arizona-Philadelphia contest. Listen, guys, I haven't won a game involving Chip Kelly's Eagles all season long. I think I'm 1-6, free picks and best bets combined. So I'm not even going to venture a guess on this particular contest. You might want to check out Chuck Franklin, though, because since his return, after a near 3-year absence, over the past 3+ weeks, he's been on fire. And today he goes for 50-dime winner, number 7 in a row and 5th straight in the NFL. And it's your Cardinals-Eagles contest. And you once again get it for over half price off simply by using coupon code Sunday. You've got all of the other 6 50-dime plays, all for over half price off, including last night's winner on the Jets, proving once again, Chuck, like I always suggest to you, as I told you yesterday in the video report when I gave you the Jets, you buy that half point when that line crosses 3, 4, 7, and sometimes 10, and it paid off again last night if you were on the Jets, and you bought down to 2.5 in that one to pick up the win, or hey, it paid off if you were on the other side too. It works, I'm telling you. It doesn't work if you're betting 22 games on the board, but if you have that one single play, the vig, it's nothing compared to the number of wins it'll get you, and more importantly, the number of losses that will turn into pushes. So he had a 50-dime winner last night. He had a 50-dime winner in college basketball on Friday night with South Carolina over Clemson. Had a 50-dime winner last Monday night with the Giants of Miami. 50-dime winner last Sunday night with his Patriots, as he likes to call them, at Houston. And his first 50-dime play was 3 Sundays ago when he told you the Broncos would hand the Patriots their first loss of the season, and they rallied and did so in overtime. You got all those plays at over half price off. Same thing today by using coupon code Sunday, SUNDAY. Jeff Benton, props going out to him for that 100-dime winner yesterday as he cashed in with Utah blasting BYU. 100-dime AFC game of the year. Broncos Steelers today. You get it for $60 off by using coupon code 100dimes. And Matt Rivers, only the 10th ever NFL blank check release. And he is a charter member of this site, which I started over 13 years ago. It goes at 1 o'clock Eastern time. He says his team, this chalk, will cover by at least a touchdown. You save $60 by using coupon code BLANK. All your other coupon codes, etc., are over on the homepage. Let's get to your complimentary plays here. Before I do, just another reminder in case you haven't caught it the first 27 times I told you this season. Again, it's so important to understand the value of buying the half point. But it's also so important to realize why you've got to have at least two sources to play. I don't care if you have Manny, Mo, and Jack in the neighborhood that you're placing bets with or you're playing offshore. I never, ever, ever have recommended an offshore sports book, and I'm not about to, okay? Until somebody starts paying me big money to start advertising one, I'm not doing it. Plus, there's also that little legality rule that you have to worry about. But here's the deal. There are a couple of big-name sports books out there, take a guess, where generally you are always paying more on favorites. You're always paying a half point to a point more on favorites, especially when they are public favorites. And with one of those books, the same thing was last night where the Jets were. Every place else, the Jets were 3. They were 3.5 to 4 almost all day long. Obviously, why do you want to have two sources? If you're on the underdog, guys, you want to play at those books because you're going to get that half point I'm talking about for free. If you're on the favorite, you got to play elsewhere. And that's just so simple. Same thing happens in Vegas. Listen, guys, you can be on the Strip. You want to go to the Palms and you want to go to Wynn, let's say. You want to go to stations locally and someplace else, do so. You got to have two sources because you got to know who you're going to be betting. And if you don't have to pay that extra little price for that half point, why pay it? It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's get to your complimentary plays. As I said, I have two of them today, Seattle, Cleveland, Chicago, Minnesota, plus my thoughts on Kansas City, Baltimore, and Pittsburgh, Denver. First one is going to be the Seattle game against Cleveland. Okay, Johnny Manziel, you won a game last week, blah, 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 blah. Now you're going to Seattle. Let's see how you fare at CenturyLink Field. Going to be a little louder, I believe, than probably Kyle Field in College Station, I think. And let's face it, with the way the Seahawks are playing right now, they've now won 6 of their last 7. Russell Wilson has just been phenomenal here. That's all you can say. Just phenomenal over the past 4 weeks as the Seahawks have won and covered 4 straight. Seattle, 35 points a game. 450 yards of total offense a game on average the past 4 weeks. Russell Wilson, 292 yards and 5 touchdowns at Baltimore last week. That gives him 1,171 yards, 16 touchdowns, 75% completion percentage, and 0 interceptions the past 4 games. I think he's going to be able to take care of business against Cleveland, even though the Browns did sack Blaine Gabbert last week of San Francisco 9 times. 9 times they sacked him. That's the highest number of sacks by any team in a single game this season. 9 times. Now, why didn't I use Seattle as a best bet? A couple of reasons. 14.5-point favorite, although I think they win comfortably today. The other reason is Seattle had really benefited from the come-out-of-nowhere performance by rookie running back Thomas Rawls. He broke his ankle last week, so now they got a running back by committee approach. Also, Cam Chancellor, game-time decision here for this particular contest after getting hurt last week. You remember how they struggled when Chancellor was holding out early this season? My point exactly. So I do like Seattle. I'll use them as a free play, but not going to bet on them. That's the bottom line. The other complimentary, excuse me, guys, I'm getting all choked up. And if you think I'm starting this video report again, you are sorely mistaken. The other free play, I'm looking at this Minnesota game with Chicago. 5.5-point line. Minnesota had to score the final 10 points of the game at Chicago back on November 1st at Soldier Field in the final 1 minute and 49 seconds to eventually win it on a game-winning field goal as time expired, 23-20. Although the Bears have lost 2 straight winnable games, believe me, I had them 2 weeks ago at home when they lost in overtime to San Francisco. Lost again last week as well. 2 games that they should have won. I just don't know here how the Bears are going to perform this week at Minnesota. But I do believe that this line is a little high, 5.5 points. To me, this is another field goal game, especially considering the Vikings really weren't in it last week at Arizona. Well, 2 Thursdays ago at Arizona. I mean, it was a 20-10 game in the 4th quarter before they rallied to tie the game, only to watch Arizona win it on a field goal as time expired. They've lost 3 of their last 4. They got hammered at home in their last 2 games by the Packers and the Broncos. Again, I still think this is a 3-point game. Minnesota's top 3 defenders didn't play last week. 2 of those top 3 defenders are not going to play this week either. Safety Harrison Smith and linebacker Anthony Barr. Well, Barr is their leading pass rusher, 8 sacks this season. The two of them combined for 12 sacks. Minnesota has had problems stopping the run, minus all these guys they've been missing. I think Matt Forte and, oh gosh, I can't think of the other guy out of the other running back, the rookie running back. Isn't that awful? I can't think of his name right now. But anyway, we move on. I think they're going to be able to run the ball. Again, I think this is a 3-point game, so I'm going to grab the points and go with Chicago in this one. And again, if I'm playing Chicago, if I'm playing Seattle, these are plays that for one reason or another were slightly flawed, and that's why they're free selections rather than the game that I bet today. But all things considered, you know, my free plays, I'm 169 wins, 127 losses over the past 160 days. Ain't too shabby. A couple of other games I just wanted to give you my opinions on. Kansas City on paper looks like the lock of all locks at Baltimore today. 6.5-point favorite. Chiefs have won 7 straight. They've covered 6 of those 7 games. They had scored 34, 30, 33 points, 29, 45, and 23 before only scoring 10 on last week's home win against the Chargers. So the offense has been clicking. Meanwhile, the Ravens, 19 points total in their last 2 games, coming off a 35-6 whipping at home against the Seahawks last week. Jimmy Clausen, Matt Schaub, does it really matter who starts for their injury-riddled Ravens? This is a Ravens defense that's allowed 25 or more points in 8 of the past 12 games. So again, on surface, Kansas City, 6.5 to 7-point favorite. How can you not jump on the Chiefs? My word of warning from watching the Philadelphia Eagles coach for over a decade by Andy Reid. He is Mr. Conservative. You know that as well as I do. This is a guy who suddenly, when he gets a little lead, he wants to run the ball. I always said he was a fraud when it came to the West Coast offense because whenever in doubt, he would immediately turn conservative. Mr. Conservative will cost you covers. That's why I'm staying away Kansas City, although I do think the Chiefs are the play there. Then the other game is your Pittsburgh-Denver contest. I mean, the Steelers have been absolutely on fire offensively. You know, they have set a franchise record. A franchise record. And think about all the good offensive players that they have had over the years, all the good quarterbacks they have had over the years. They have set a franchise record by scoring at least 30 points in 5 straight games. They're averaging 494 yards in those games. Well, today they're a 7-point favorite at home against Denver, a Denver team that just couldn't get anything done last week at home when they lost to Oakland. I mean, the offensive line problems for the Broncos was exposed when Mack of the Raiders sacked Brock Osweiler 5 times in that game. You also saw the offensive line woes continue because the Broncos were unable to run the ball as they have been hampered by that line all season long, not being able to be productive on the ground. You had Osweiler throwing the ball 51 times last week. Peyton Manning's going, Jesus Christ, when I was healthy, you didn't let me throw the ball 40 times in a game. What the hell's wrong with you, Gary Kubiak? I still think it's too many points for the Steelers, though, today, because the Steelers have shown us repeatedly, defensively, they are awful. Just remember when Roethlisberger had the monster game and they put up 30-plus points at Seattle 2 weeks ago, and they lost that game as well, right? So I think you got to grab the points with the Broncos because the Broncos are going to come in here, number one defense in scoring, number one defense, pass defense, number one total defense. They're going to bring it today, and they're going to put the pressure on Roethlisberger. I think this is a 3 or 4 point game. I do think the Steelers win it, but I think Broncos are the way to go. But again, this Broncos offense is so inept. How can you really get behind grabbing the points there? So lean a little toward Kansas City, lean a little toward Denver, like Chicago, and like Seattle as your other 2 complimentary plays, with Seattle being the best bet on the board. That'll do it, guys. Best of luck to you all, and I'll catch you again tomorrow when we do this one more time.